As the world steers a course towards carbon neutral, scientists are finding new ways of powering our lives, be it wind, solar, air and ground source heating. Now hydrogen is on the radar. We're talking now to Hydrogen Future Industries, a listed company that was established to focus on projects and companies within the hydrogen economy. Tim Blake, closest to me here in the studio, is the Chief Executive of HFI. Tim, welcome. HFI Energy Systems Limited, I should say, a wholly owned subsidiary of Hydrogen Future Industries. And Dan Mailing is the newly appointed Executive Chairman of the company. Gents, welcome. Tim, to you first of all, and ask the very simple, straightforward question, why hydrogen? How does it fit into what we're discussing?
Well, hydrogen, certainly as far as we're concerned, is pretty much the future of fuel going forwards. It gives many options. You can store it, you can move it. It's hugely abundant, it's clean if you produce it properly. So it's a big step forward, I think.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Producing it, in your words, properly. You're an inventor, I believe, of a new way of producing hydrogen, this green hydrogen. Explain what green hydrogen is and how you're going about the process of producing this gas.
Green hydrogen is hydrogen that's produced without any carbon created in the process. So in our case, it's from wind energy. Mm-hmm. So if you're using renewable energy to create hydrogen, then it's completely clean. Mm-hmm. When you burn hydrogen in terms of in a fuel cell or whatever, your only emission is water. So there's no carbon off the back of it. So with us, we've been working for a number of years. It's a lot of effort gone into what we've achieved, but really it's a wind-based system that's designed with the purpose of creating hydrogen. Mm-hmm. So it's an entire process.
And it's hydrogen for any particular purpose?
Yeah, well, there's numerous purposes. So electricity, you can feed hydrogen into natural gas to reduce emissions from gas, chemical applications, and also storage. You know, the biggest issue with renewable energy is being able to use it on demand. So to use renewables on demand, you need some kind of storage. So you've got batteries, etc. But with hydrogen, it's a cheaper, cleaner way of providing energy when you need it.
As a consumer, as indeed we all are we going to come into contact with this sort of hydrogen production, or is it really just for commercial use?
Well, you will. I mean, for instance, I drive a hydrogen car, so I fill up with hydrogen, not necessarily on a daily basis, but fill up and use it. As time goes by, your electricity at home, the gas feed into the house, but more and more technologies are coming on board now that will make it more personal. So you can use it in place of batteries, for instance, at phones and other bits and pieces.
What about the cost of entry into making hydrogen and indeed doing it the way you're doing it?
Well, because of the way we do it, so we have a unique type of wind turbine and drive system. We use hydraulics, etc. It's designed to create green hydrogen as cheaply as it can, in our mind. So we're producing or be producing hydrogen at under $2 a kilo, which is a key number. I guess it's a target that governments are trying to get to. For green hydrogen, it's particularly key because that's cheaper in many cases than industrial hydrogen, which would be blue or grey hydrogen. So they're hydrogens that have carbon in part of the process of producing them.
So traditionally, how would we have produced hydrogen in a non-green way, presumably?
Usually off gas. Right. Methane or natural gas.
Would that be cheaper doing it that way? I mean, how is it more expensive to do it a green way? Because we're quite often told that it is actually more expensive to produce renewables.
Up to date, yeah, that has been the case. I mean, with us, actually, we feel we've moved that barrier, that we're cheaper than doing it in an industrial process. But certainly, it's been easier to get hold of natural gas and produce it. I mean, petroleum industry are the biggest producers of hydrogen because they use it in their system.
Dan, let's bring you in and talk a little bit about the company, the strategy and how you're following it. Before we get into that, very quickly, there's a thing called the Hydrogen Council, isn't there, which I believe you're working alongside or with to get to where you want to be?
Look, there's a number of industry bodies around us. I think one thing we've faced being based out of the UK is we'd like to see more government support for the sector. Bodies such as the Hydrogen Council are important in hearing our voice. But I think realistically, we'll be going straight into industry type partners to develop what we need to in the next stage, and we'll be focusing on those industry sectors that use a lot of power.
So you've come to the Aquis market. You're obviously now engaging with shareholders who have certain demands. What is the long-term plan with your relationship with shareholders and the shareholder returns? What is the business model that you're setting up here?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've spent probably the last 18 months since listing consolidating the IP and the ownership structure and making sure that we have the right personnel around us to develop it properly. We've now done that, and Tim's recently come on our register as a major shareholder. The next step is really to demonstrate to everyone that this is a commercial opportunity that we've got. So look for news on who and how we're partnering with people. But the commercial model is we've got opportunities. Ultimately we want to be a producer of green hydrogen.
Tim, let's pick up on that point and talk about how you're working with individual sectors, the mining sector in particular, which I know you're closely aligned with. How are you going to be interacting with that sector with a view to making this patent work?
Okay, well, when we first set out with the original patents, mining was very much in the forefront of our mind. So we're working within the mining sector, I guess, and we're looking at ways to really change the way that they structure themselves for energy and for the environment. So we're taking the complete system, which starts with the energy side, with the wind turbine side. That's your